All right, so we are a couple members of the Miller Grant and Company team. I'm Courtney Pelfrey, and this is Kaylee Sexton, and we are going to turn it over to lender extraordinaire Nick to introduce himself.
Hello, thank you guys. My name's Nick. I'm a sales manager here with Family First Funding here in Central Florida. And yeah, thank you guys. Love
Yeah,
working with you guys and love to speak with everybody about some strategies for buying a house.
love it. Yep, Nick takes amazing care of our clients, so we're thankful for that. We just have a couple questions for you to kind of kick off the year. So our first question, it's the start of a new year. We're all kind of thinking about goals and resolutions and planning and all of that. So if someone is even considering home ownership as a goal for 2024, what do you think is the most important thing you'd want those folks to know in January?
I think the biggest thing to know and to consider is that it's never too early to start putting a plan together. I like to call it a mortgage plan. So sometimes we speak to folks where they're like, hey, I want to go buy a house tomorrow, and that's great. But even if your plan is to buy at the end of the year, next year, 6 months, whatever it is, don't be afraid to reach out and speak to us sooner than later, because sometimes there are small things that we can do to put you in a better position, whether that's get your credit score up or help you save a little bit more money, or maybe help pay off some debt. But you don't want to kind of blindly do that, because sometimes that can actually put you back. I think the biggest thing to know and to consider is that it's never too early to start putting a plan together. I like to call it a mortgage plan. So sometimes we speak to folks where they're like, hey, I want to go buy a house tomorrow, and that's great. But even if your plan is to buy at the end of the year, next year, 6 months, whatever it is, don't be afraid to reach out and speak to us sooner than later, because sometimes there are small things that we can do to put you in a better position, whether that's get your credit score up or help you save a little bit more money, or maybe help pay off some debt. But you don't want to kind of blindly do that, because sometimes that can actually put you back. But I think it's never too early to speak about that and put a plan together. And I've had folks who closed in the last few years that we've been working for a year, two, three, whatever it is. That's the biggest. The second thing I would say is like saving money is super helpful. There's a lot of down payment assistance options out there. There are ways to do loans with. I just closed somebody who literally brought $1,500 to closing with
Love it.
everything, which is awesome. But that's hard to do. So if you have a little bit of money set aside, it makes it a lot easier. Also, you have money for moving expenses. So I would encourage you to put together a savings plan, whatever you can set aside from your paycheck. And that's something that I'm happy to help you with as well. And then the last thing I would say is don't be afraid to reach out. It can be a bit daunting. Don't talk yourself out of it, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah,
Totally.
sometimes people are like, oh, there's no way I'd qualify. Well, let's look at it and see, because there are a lot of misconceptions about our industry and getting qualified for a loan. That's just not true. And if you want to make it happen, there's usually a way to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say to that point, something we tell people often is you want to see your realtor and lender as kind of a team working for you on the back end. And I think it's never too early to kind of establish that team mentality and then move forward from there with kind of a plan. So
Yeah.
we are right there with you. So our next question is, as we approach tax season, everyone's favorite season
Oh
of the
yeah.
year, um, are you having any conversations with a lot of clients right now about how taxes impact their ability to purchase a home?
So specifically for myself and my self-employed folks,
Yep.
make sure that you run your numbers by your mortgage professional before you file your taxes, because sometimes your CPA is going to do a very good job at showing that you've made almost no money to Uncle Sam. But in some scenarios, it may be better to show that you've made a little bit more money so you can qualify for more, because self-employment, almost always we have to go off your net income unless we're doing a specialty program. For my non-self-employed folks, my W-2 people, we were talking about savings a minute ago. You can use that if you're getting a refund, use that towards your down payment and your closing costs. So that can be a nice little windfall. So a lot of times people do start calling me March, April. Hey, I just got X amount of money from my cash from my IRS refund. Cool. There's your starting point to put money down on a house.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, and again, Nick has all of these answers and kind of creative strategies for the financial piece. And so you definitely wouldn't want to miss out on all of this knowledge and then go back and think, man, I wish I would have just sat down with a lender from the very start and better understood what my options are. Because if you go in and fall in love with a house and you've never had this conversation, you might be kind of you might feel like pressured into, well, now this is the only way to make it happen, or I have to find a way to make it happen. But I think, like you're saying, there's many ways to kind of make this work for you. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want you to have options when you're ready to make your purchase. And the more prepared you are, the more opportunities you're going to have. Yeah, you don't have to do this.
Right.
It's always nice to come in with like, hey, we can do it like this, we can do it like that, we can do it like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to speak to someone in advance. And I know the mortgages aren't the fun part. My part's not fun at all. But I promise I'll try to make it as less intimidating as possible. And we'll just talk through that and make sure we can set you up for success.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if anyone is interested in Nick's contact information, obviously that is something we can provide. And something we've done with past clients too is all sat down together and, had lunch or coffee, and just to kind of get an overview of how we want the process to go. And I think having everyone in the same room or the same space makes a big difference in doing that. So we will talk to you soon, Nick.
Yeah, thanks. Look forward to work with y'all. And yeah, please do reach out. Miller Grant team is amazing. They'll take great care of
Thanks.
you, treat you well, and help you get into your house.
Yep.
Right.